Hello, everybody, and welcome to the second edition of NBA Friday. There's only two of us here today, but that's okay. We're still going to give you a really fun show. I'm Tim Daniel, as always, here with Sean Mackey. How are you, buddy?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm good. For some reason, our names are not showing up. There we go. Okay, we're back.
There we are.
Yeah, what the H? What the French toast? Really excited for this one, our second edition of the show. Like we said, this is the Riverfront U Passion Project show, where we just get all of our NBA talks out of the way because we can't talk about it with our families.
Not anymore. We can't.
No, not at all. First, before we do get into anything, I want to let you know, of course, this week's episode of NBA Friday on Riverfront U is brought to you by our friends at SeatGeek. SeatGeek is the #1 place to get tickets in the secondary market to take all confusion out of purchases. If you go on there and you look for an event such as, the Pacers, green means good, red means bad, as simple as that. And if you haven't used SeatGeek before, just use the code Riverfront, all one word, for $20 off your first order, or just make 7 or 8 emails and keep doing it over and over again. We can't stop you from that. And it goes in our pocket anyway. So we appreciate if you do. Of course, we're also going to let you know this episode is brought to you by our family at patreon.com/RiverfrontCincy, where you also can join our hoops chat. It's a lot of fun. It's a really good conversation every day. So those are your options there. Please, please, please use them if you can. We're happy to answer them for you. But we're going to do, for our present tense segment, I got to figure a better name for that still, Sean.
Present tense. How about just news? NBA today. Present tense. That's what we're going with.
It's not really what we're going with. It just kind of rolled out of my mouth.
Okay.
So
all right. We'll talk about it later.
Yeah. So this week for our current segment, we're going to do our favorite win totals and our least favorite win totals for each conference. So we're going to look at the one team from each conference we think is going to win more games than is given on their line, and the one team from each conference we think is going to lose more games than given combined. So I told you mine ahead of time. You didn't tell me yours just yet. So let's get started with you. Who are you taking in the East as your favorite to go over?
Favorite to go over. And I'm putting a lot of faith in it, but I'm swinging for the fences on this one. I'm going with the Orlando Magic.
I like it.
They're over 35. It's over 35.5 right now. I'm saying they get up to 38 to 40.
I actually really like their roster construction. I think they've done a really good job to the draft of the couple years. I thought Jett Howard was a tad bit of a reach in the draft, but I do think he'll be a good player. I love Anthony Black. Just a great two-way player. To go with their young feasting guards who just, like, you can say what you will about the talent level of their guards, they do not quit.
Oh yeah. Do they have too many guards? They do, but it's okay if one of them gets hurt or something. You got another man up. I think they're just going to be. I think Blanchero is going to come out this year swinging. He was so good last year, and Franz Wagner just so good. And I know me and you were both secretly hoping that Victor may pop up down in Orlando so we could just trade in all of our Bulls gear and just start donning the black and blue pinstripes again like it was 95 and just go all in. But it didn't happen.
Nope.
I'm still a little disappointed it didn't, because that would have been just really, really, really intriguing and fun. It could have been a situation like Shaq and Chris Webber, but I think they would have made it work, those guys. So, I think they're going to have a great year this year. They surprised the hell out of me last year. I think they're only going to get better, barring any kind of injuries. And I like you said, I like the way this roster is constructed. I think Orlando Magic fans have a lot to look forward to this season. So
I do too. Joe Ingles was a really nice signing for them.
Oh yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. He's a little bit on the older side now, but you know what? You got a vet there, and it's good. I think they're going to be in good shape.
I did too. I really think they're going to be fun. I think they're going to battle for the play-in. You mentioned Paolo. One of the points for the two teams I'm going to list in this conversation is no one does Team USA and gets worse. Like, it just doesn't happen. And
You're absolutely right about that.
and so the fact that Paolo was part of the camp this year, I don't know if he'll make the Olympic team just because there's gonna be we're hearing about all the guys who are coming to play. But
Yeah.
he's gonna be in camp, like he's gonna be on the select team. But yeah, this is a team. Look, Mo Wagner ended up being serviceable for them. Like I said, they got Joe Ingles.
Yeah.
Chubo Kiki's supposed to be back, it sounds like. So that's
I
a
saw that. Yep.
did any of us think 3 years ago Markelle Fultz would become a good NBA player? We thought he had the yips. We thought he would just never
He's
again.
he's very fun. I mean, he's not as good as we expected him to be, I think. But it is good. Like you said, we didn't know if he was ever going to materialize anything, and here he is out contributing and playing hard. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to this. I think they'll be even a little bit better. And we talked about this earlier, in the year or the last time on the previous podcast about just how they might be a play-in team this year, and I fully hope that they are and expect that they could be.
Yeah. And I'll also say that I think there's rumors going around. Have you heard this rumor about the Magic, Sean? That Jonathan Isaac apparently is going to play basketball this year. There's a rumor.
Well, old Jonathan Isaac, NBA 2K uh, player of the year right there.
Yeah, exactly.
That's it. That's it.
Yeah. Well, I like your pick. I'm also excited for them this year. They're a team I'm going to watch a lot on League Pass. To further my point about you don't do Team USA and get worse, I'm going to take the Pacers and Tyrese Halliburton.
Oh
Genuinely,
yeah.
I really like this team. And so when I talk about this team, why I think they're going to be really good. So their over under is at 38 and a half. Um,
Yeah.
and they do play in a loaded Central Division. Well, I shouldn't say loaded anymore. There's the Hawks and there's the Bucks and the Cavaliers. So, there's that. But if you look at this roster, so Tyrese Halliburton's obviously the guy at the helm, just signed a big extension. They're fully confident in him. Rick Carlisle's their coach. And I think that Rick Carlisle, and there's some talks that he's lost his touch. I don't agree with that. Um, Buddy Hield's still there for the time being, so we'll see how that goes. But Andrew Nemhard ended up being really good for them. I really like Jarris Walker, who they got in the top 10 in this year's draft. Ben Matherin, who I really, really love. I think he's really, really talented as well.
So good.
And I think the Obi Toppin trade was a great get for them. I think that was
Oh
just a perfect spot for them. As far as like
yeah.
having a guy to cut to the rim for Halliburton to feed, I think it's gonna be perfect. TJ McConnell's obviously been very solid backup point guard for a long time. I like this team. And the Bruce Brown. They got Bruce Brown when every team in the league wanted him this offseason.
Yeah,
So
they did.
sign me up for the
Good.
Pacers over. I'm excited.
I I I agree with you on that. I think they're going to be really good. Halliburton's going to make another jump. I think he was
Yeah.
so good last year. Matherin is going to get better. And you mentioned liking the Obi Toppin trade. Like, I think he is a perfect piece for this particular team. I don't know, man. It wasn't like he didn't get an absolutely fair shake in New York. I think he did, but I think he's definitely one of those like change of scenery guys
Yeah.
that could really blossom in Indianapolis. And I'm excited for this whole team. As a lifelong Bulls fan, I got to be a little bit of a Pacers hater, but at the same time, I think Pacers fans have a lot to be excited about right now, and they've got a good team, and um, they made some savvy trades and moves over the last couple years that have put them in this place, and I think they're right there, and I like Rick Carlisle too.
I do too.
Where where are you hearing he lost his touch?
I think there's
Just
Dallas
whispers,
from Dallas,
Dallas.
Texas. Yeah.
Those Dallas fans, man. I was on a Dallas Mavericks Facebook group the other day,
Why?
and I don't know. It came across my feed, and it was on Facebook, and Facebook is so seedy anyway. I was like, how did this even like slide into my feed here? Because you know me, I never talk about the Dallas Mavericks. They're not even remotely on my radar. But they were just going on and just talking shit about every other team. And I'm like, these guys are just absolutely bananas down in Dallas, man.
Yeah.
They got Luca, but
You
I would,
you win the 2011 finals and you're the Showtime Lakers.
yeah, the Kool-Aid that these guys were drinking on this fan site it was just wild. I was like, I've never seen a more in denial group. And not to say that they're going to be a bad team. I don't think they're going to be a bad team, but
I do.
you think, okay,
I do.
all right,
We'll get to that. It's my
okay,
it's
all
my
right.
Western Conference under, but
Oh, okay, okay. Well,
yeah,
you just spoiled it for me.
I buried
Okay,
I
all
buried
right.
the lead. But who's your Eastern Conference under?
Eastern Conference under. Um, this one's tough. It could be one of two things, but I think I'm actually, and I might regret doing this because it goes against everything that I'm saying, but because I love this team to death, but I'm gonna take the under on the Heat.
I thought about it.
Um, I feel like this team has maxed out everything they can to get to the place that they're at. They have outperformed themselves to a point. I think they needed a major change this year. Obviously, everybody thought that was going to be Dame. Would I have loved to have seen Dame in South Beach? Absolutely. If, but Portland had to do what Portland had to do. You got Tyler Hero down there. I'm hoping this whole situation has motivated him.
Me too.
Like I'm really hoping it's motivated him because I love that guy. He's just such a just walking swagger. He's so good, and Jimmy is good, but Jimmy's a year older. Lowry, year older.
Kevin
Bam,
Love.
Kevin Love, yeah, and Kevin Love is definitely one of those like pick up the pieces kind of guy, when you're making
Sure.
a run for it, which is what he was last year, and that's fine. You can have that, but is he a game changer for the regular season? No,
No.
he's not. He's not. And Kyle Lowry, God, how old is Kyle Lowry now? He's 37. He is 2 years younger than me.
And they've tried to shop him multiple times.
Oh, nobody wants him. His
Yeah.
contract's huge. So,
Right.
I mean, you look at that, but they got Thomas Bryant down there now. He's there. Bam's an all-star, but there's nothing on this team that wows me. Duncan Robinson has just been kind of up and down. So, you know, does is it pronounced Jovic or
Nikola
is
Jovic.
it Jokic? It's Jovic. It's
Yeah.
not Jokic. Okay, Jovic.
Yeah.
I know there's some high hopes for him too. He's kind of a raw, you know, prospect from last year. He had some moments that you were like, oh, okay, but I don't know, man. 48 seems kind of high to me.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's kind of where I'm at too. I think they're in the playoffs for sure.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt.
But and I got a lot of crap for this during the draft this year, but I really like Jaime Jaquez. And I think other teams he's probably just okay. I think Miami he's really good. He's a good passer. That's what they look for. That's what Eric Spoelstra wants is a point guard that can facilitate and just get everyone in their spots. He doesn't really care about the super scoring point guard, hence Dwayne Wade barely played point
I'm
guard this time with the Heat.
Now I'm unfamiliar with this gentleman. Can you explain him to me a little bit? I
He's a
see that he
He's from UCLA. He's a 6'7" guard. He's played in a Final
okay.
Four, so he's played in big games.
Okay.
He's a really, really good passer. I know some people I talked to really did not like him much at all
Okay.
during the draft, but I thought he was pretty good. I thought he could have gone lower, but I think he'll be really good for Miami. And he shows glimpses quite a bit, but he's a funny looking dude. He looks just like Adam Morrison, but he's going to be
He
better than
does.
Adam Morrison. Yeah.
Well, and Pat Riley and that staff, they're so good at finding guys that, you know, can outperform what they drafted at.
Yeah,
So, anytime anytime you look at their draft, especially the team that they had last year, all those guys that are all sadly gone because they ended up getting bigger contracts elsewhere. You look at that and it's just a great organization. They know what the hell they're doing every year
for
in and
sure.
year out. And it kind of makes you, envious every time because a lot of these guys, they play there, then they go someplace else, and they're not as good or whatever. But they're just great at finding guys with chips on their shoulder and just grinding out wins.
Yeah, I agree. So for my under, I was gonna say Atlanta just because of the sake. I just think that they're not very good, but I decided to kind of change it on you a little bit. I apologize.
Okay,
Um,
go for it.
I'm gonna take Cleveland, and not because I think they're gonna have a bad year by any stretch of the matter. Just 50.5 wins is a lot. That's a lot. Do I think they're really good? Yes, I think they're really good, and I thought they got better. I am not sold that Imani Bates is not going to be part of this team. I think he's going to get elevated from his two-way contract at some point this year. I think he's
Okay.
been really, really good for them. I love them getting Max Strus. Love them getting him from Miami.
Oh yeah,
And then,
yeah.
of course, I really like, Garland and Mitchell. And, we all know how I feel about Evan Mobley. I picked him to win Defensive Player of the Year this year. It's just 50.5 when you got to play Milwaukee 4 times. You got to play Boston. I think Boston's under schedule 4 times. They're one of the teams outside of the division. That's 8 games right there. You got to figure out to how you can potentially get 4 of those, right? Um,
Yeah.
and, you know, Jared Allen's already battling injury. So that's of concern. I do really like their bench. I think their bench is really, really solid. But,
Oh yeah. They're
you know,
stacked. That team is stacked.
yeah, like that team could play in the Eastern Conference Finals this year. But I
Oh,
I
we
just
we
really
wouldn't have been we wouldn't have been surprised if that happened last year.
yeah, for sure.
Midway through the season, we were talking about it like this could be a thing.
Yeah, I know I'm like complimenting them and saying, well, they're gonna go under. Because I think they're great. I think they're gonna be a really, really fun team to watch. I think they're gonna be really good. It's just, man, I don't know if they have 50.5 in them. I hope I'm wrong because they're going to be a team I'm going to enjoy to watch with how they play offense. And they're a really good defensive team with JB Bickerstaff. But man, 50.5, if you're not the Celtics, the Nuggets, or the Bucks, 50 and over is going to be pretty hard to do.
Well, you know me, I always like to kind of live in the past a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So I look at a team like Cleveland and I look at trajectories over different decades of similar teams. And I'm going to bring out the 2005 Chicago Bulls, my favorite team. Okay.
Similar, yeah.
This was a team that had drafted very, very well. They had Luol Deng, Kirk Heinrich, Ben Gordon, um, you know, and they had a really, really good season in 2005. Really, really good. And they added Ben Wallace in 2006 during the offseason. And I remember USA Today picked them to go to the Eastern Conference Finals that year. And then a few of the publications I read picked them to go to the NBA Finals, which was absolutely a crazy effing stretch because LeBron James.
Yeah.
Looking back at it, I mean, I think people were just hyped that Chicago was semi good again, but that's the kind of team that I'm looking at. And the Cleveland Cavaliers, they have way more talent than that team ever did right now. Donovan Mitchell is an absolute stud. Garland is phenomenal. Mobley is phenomenal. I mean, they're just oozing with good players. And I think you still got Karis LeVert, you got Max Strus. I mean, this is a deep ass team. This is not we got I keep forgetting they re-signed Tristan Thompson.
Isn't that goofy? Yeah.
No, it's not though. There's continuity there. He was there for many years. I get it. It makes
Yeah.
sense to me.
I like
But
that what he said that
kind of
he
funny.
was gonna make sure Mobley gets out of his comfort zone. I really like that.
Yeah,
I really like that. Yeah, like I said, gonna be a good team, gonna be fun to watch. I just feel like 50 is a lot.
it is.
I
It
do think they're
is.
capable of it. I certainly do. It's just hard to pick someone to win that many games. So let's go to the West.
Such a young team too. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. Let's talk about the West here real quick. Do you want me to go first or you
Sure.
go first?
You go first.
All right. For my over, I'm going the Minnesota Timberwolves, and I know that might be crazy, but I like this team, and this furthers my point of Team USA gets you better. And Anthony Edwards during Team USA, even if it was a disappointing summer, looked primed to take that Dwayne Wade-esque step. I think with Mike Conley there to kind of have him as his vet, that's going to be really good for them. Jaden McDaniels is still there, and he's they brought him back, and he's awesome. Um, I don't think Cat finishes the season. I mean, is here in the 2025 season by any means. So there's this Gobert Cat thing. It's a little goofy, but I like their bench. I think they have a lot of talent, and I think Chris Finch is much more better of a coach than we kind of give him credit for. If you look at the fact that he's had that team in the hunt for the playoffs the last couple of years, I know last year was kind of goofy, but look, Nickeil Alexander-Walker is a guy who's kind of want to prove it. I love them getting Shake Milton, and
Yeah.
I know that we shouldn't look into preseason NBA games by any stretch of the matter, but
Never.
when you looked at how they played against Dallas in those Abu Dhabi games, they looked ready. They looked together.
Yeah.
They looked in sync, and I was blown away. So I'm going to take the slight over on Minnesota. I think it's going to be a fun year for Minnesota.
Okay. Okay. Might have something fun for you later on that
44
one.
and a half is their over under, by the way.
44 and a half. Okay.
Yeah. I was going to take OKC, but it was too easy. Everyone knows they're going to be really good this year.
Yeah. Yeah. So for my over, and I'm gonna be doing another swing for the fence here. I'm taking the Kings.
I like it. I like them a lot.
Yeah. They're over, I think right now 43 and a half. This is a team that looked so good in the playoffs last year, and they looked like that team that had to get knocked down to understand what they were, and I think they're that team. I think they're,
Yes.
you know what I mean? They're that team that they've been through some shit already. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Does that make sense? Getting to the playoffs was a huge thing for them. And we talked for years about the Kings making it back into the playoffs. Not only did they make it back into the playoffs, but they made a splash. They took the Golden State Warriors to 7 games. De'Aaron Fox has become the player that we thought he was going to in Kentucky. He's just been unreal, man. And I look back at those games, especially the one where he gave Lonzo Ball the business, and I think about that, and like we were kind of doubting Lonzo Ball. We were all right there. We were all right. I mean, De'Aaron Fox is the better player, because he's playing.
Right.
But
There's that whole thing.
yeah, that's just me being a bitter old man. But Sabonis had a great year. This is just a team that's so deep, so interesting, and Kevin Horter, getting him there, to be a spot up shooter. Harrison Barnes is there to kind of, be that veteran guy. Malik Monk had a great season last year. I think this team has a lot. I think they have a lot to give this year, and I think I expect them to rise above what they did last year. I think this is one of those teams that got knocked down, and I think they're going to come back. They've got the experience now, and they're going to come out swinging this season.
And a team that had an incredible draft. Oh my gosh. So they get Kessler Edwards.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who I freaking like. He wasn't in the draft this year, actually. That was the wrong name I thought of there. I apologize. But
No, not Kessler.
I am going to start with Colby Jones, and I know that's a homer of me because he is Xavier alum. But getting Colby Jones in the second round is a steal. I for sure had him as a first rounder. All the levels he improved.
Of course you did.
I'm not the only one though. Like I'm not the only one. Like the ways he improved through his 3 years at Xavier were phenomenal. So I think he's gonna be really good there. Low key, think JaVale McGee was a really good signing for them. Just kind of having that vet guy there to kind of be their backup center.
I love that guy. Like he's one of those guys that when you put him in minimal minutes in a game, like he can excel. He's such a good throw in center. There's a reason why he's been in the league as long as he's been.
Yeah, and this is the point I meant to make that I stumbled my words. Chris Duarte is going to bounce back this year. I fully believe he bounces back. I think last year was a battle of injury in Indiana. I think a fresh slate for him is going to be huge, and I think this team's going to make a big trade at some point. If you look
at the pieces,
right? If you look at Davion Mitchell, Kevin Huerter, you mentioned Malik Monk, who I don't think they'll necessarily trade. Keegan Murray is obviously a no doubter, going to stay there, but they have the pieces to get someone big for their team. And I think that they're going to be a team that makes a splash. I think they're going to be a team that really makes a move.
Okay. saying Chris Duarte is going to have an up year because he had a pretty decent rookie season.
Mhm.
Didn't have a great second season, and now we're in there. He's 26 already.
Yeah,
I don't
I
know,
know.
man. Okay, all right.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm jumping on that train with you, but but yeah.
Did you also notice their City Connect this year has a little homage to the Cincinnati Royals?
I did. I
I
did. I
love
know
that.
you love I know you do. I know you do. I wish they'd just go back to those jerseys for a couple nights just to
Oh my god.
throw it on.
If they did a Colby Jones Cincinnati Royals jersey, it would be in my closet for sure.
I know it
Yeah.
would. You'd have
Yeah,
to probably specially order it, but
I'm sure. But apparently reports are coming out that they really like how he's playing too. They really liked how he played in summer league. Talked to some of my buddies who are Kings fans, and they're really excited about him. Yeah, just I got one of my favorite players I got to cover in my career. So I'm excited to see how he translates to the NBA level. Unders, I mentioned already. Yeah, I don't love Dallas. I think that after 1 and 2, there is a drastic drop in talent. So they're projected at 44.5. That's gonna be hard because Kyrie is gonna miss 17, 18 games for one reason or another.
oh,
Um,
absolutely.
Luka Doncic is probably gonna miss, 13, 14 games at some point. And then the rest of the roster from there is kind of bleak. And we mentioned those games with Minnesota and how they looked in preseason. Well, they were playing the Dallas Mavericks, who looked just like out of sorts. They're planning apparently on starting their rookies already, who I don't necessarily think are NBA ready guys. I think they're NBA talents like Derek Lively.
Yeah,
Um,
Derek. I was gonna say, I was like, is Derek Lively 19 years old? Is he gonna be their starting center?
Apparently, I do like them getting Grant Williams. I think he's a decent piece for them.
Oh
But
yeah, I like Grant.
yeah, let me list this roster. So Dante Exum, Markeith Morris, Derek Jones Jr., Joe Weiskamp, Greg Brown, I do like Seth Curry, Josh Green, Grant Williams, Dwight Powell, Maxi Kleber, Jaden Hardy, Tim Hardaway Jr., Rashad Holmes. Those are all the non-Kyrie Irving, Luka Doncic players.
Yeah.
That's a big drop in talent. Do I think those two are good enough to win them a lot of games? Yeah, absolutely. But I just can't see a way their whole team can put wins together.
Oh, I'm not gonna I'm gonna agree with you. I think this team's gonna suck. Like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna go ahead and just say it. I hate this team, and not saying that I hate the Mavericks, but I hate the way that
Yeah,
this
the
team has been
roster's terrible.
constructed this year. This roster is really really bad. You have sank so much money into Kyrie and to Luka Doncic, and this is wasting probably one of the best years of talent we're going to have with Luka at this point. He's 24 years old right now, an unbelievable player, and he's going to have nights where he's probably going to throw up 40 points a game.
For sure.
I mean, it's going to happen. He's a triple double machine. You got Kyrie. Something weird's going to happen there. Like, it's going to happen. Something weird's going to happen. He's not going to be happy. And then they're going to be like, but we paid you all this money. And he's going to be like, yeah, but I'm not happy, and he's gonna disappear. Something weird's gonna happen. We've seen this before.
Yeah.
Like,
He's
this
gonna be
isn't like some
burning
like
sage
it.
when they go to the Barclays.
Yeah, like I don't buy anything that this team has to sell right now. I mean, they got rid of Porzingis. Cool. That was the year before. But like, there's just nothing. There's nothing here that. Am I supposed to get excited about Tim Hardaway Jr.?
I like him,
I,
but
I do too.
I don't
I
like
like
him as
him.
like your third scoring option.
No, I like him as a second guy off the bench on a playoff team.
Yeah, I
Like
agree.
that's where I like him.
Like Tim Hardaway
Uh,
Jr. off the bench for the Suns is awesome.
oh, yeah, yeah. I mean, he's lockdown defender. He can hit threes. He's great. He knows his role. He knows exactly. You know what you're
Even
getting from him.
even Memphis, he's like probably terrific on that team.
But Derek Jones Jr. Okay,
We saw that for a couple years.
saw that for a couple years. Didn't even know Dante Exum was back in the league. Gonna be completely honest with you.
And why
You
would
got
you?
Derek. Yeah, and why would you exactly? Utah Jazz fans are like, yeah, that guy.
Cavs fans too. Remember the Cavs traded for
Cavs
him.
fans. Oh, I totally forgot about that. Yeah, so he hasn't been in the NBA for what, 2 years it's been?
I think it's been a while. Yeah.
I think it's been 2 seasons. I think he was there 21 or 22 or something, and I think he sat last year out. Um, yeah, but I don't like anything about this team. Grant Williams is the best pickup they've had this year. Um, I hope, he's only 24 years old. I mean, he could make a turn.
Yeah.
But I just I don't like anybody here. It's like uh you're gonna be just really, really relying on guys, young players right now. So how do you feel about Jaden Hardy?
I like him a lot. But
Okay.
I like him in that sense of he's gonna win you some random games off the bench guy. I don't know if I like
Okay.
him as super contributing, need you to score points to win games guy.
Do you think that their hope is that he's gonna be like the next Jalen Brunson? Like one of
Well,
those like low key guys that just kind of has a big up
yeah.
year this year?
Yeah, it definitely is. And you gotta think, I mean, this is a guy who, when he went to G League Ignite, was a top 3 pick going into that draft and just totally sunk. Just had a horrible, horrible experience at G League Ignite and really, really crushed him. So this is gonna be, I think he's certainly talented enough. I think he's certainly a good enough player. But
He's gonna get some playing time
yeah,
this
he's
year.
not gonna have a choice
Okay.
with what they have. So
He's not gonna have a choice. Get out there.
yeah, so
We need we need you for 30 minutes tonight. Great.
yeah. I am I don't think if I'm going through League Pass looking for games, I'm gonna stop on the Dallas Mavericks unless they're playing a team I like really enjoy watching play.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of this team. I don't like anything they do. They're on the West Coast, so I'm probably not going to see very many of their games, like you said, unless they're playing in an Eastern team.
Yeah. Who do you have for your under in the West?
Under in the West. So I'm gonna I kind of like this team and I kind of don't, and that's why I'm gonna go with this. But my under, I'm gonna go with the Clippers.
I wanted to, but
You wanted to.
we all know I hate the Clippers, so
Is that what it was? It was just because it was gonna be too cliche from
yeah,
you?
yeah, too easy.
Okay. All right. All right. Well, for
Low hanging
me,
fruit. So
low hanging fruit. Okay. Well, for me, I don't talk enough about the Clippers. I don't trust anything about this team ever, and they could be great. They could not be great. They haven't been great in years past. This whole experiment with this roster has not worked out yet. So it's kind of one of those things. It's like until you prove that it's good to me, I'm really not gonna invest that much. Do I think that you know having Russell Westbrook on this team is a good thing? Yeah, I think he does fit this team.
I did too.
Um, and I like Zubac. There's players on this team that I like. Um, but with everything that's happened, I mean, how many games did Kawhi Leonard play last year? I mean,
Not
played
many.
let's see.
I'm
Games
pulling
played.
up.
It says he 52. He played 52 games last year. He averaged 23 points a game, which is he's 32. Um, I don't know what we're gonna get from him this year. Paul George, I love Paul George. Like, just he's getting up there though. He's 33 this year. He played in 56 games last year, but the year before that, he played in 31. So these guys just have a lot of injury history. I think that, if you have a fantasy team and you need a point guard, I'd pick up Russell Westbrook
Yeah, I tried to
on a
tonight.
flyer. Didn't
Someone
didn't
someone took him before I could. Yeah.
someone took him before you? Okay, okay. Well, I think he's gonna be good on this team. I think he's gonna put up some points, but I just don't buy it. I don't buy any stock in the Clippers right now. Now, could that bite me in the ass, in May next year? Yeah, it could. They could be really good, but they're
Yeah.
just such a crapshoot. I don't know. I don't buy it yet.
I'm with you. Do you expect Nicholas Batum to be consistently good for this team? That's really tough.
No.
You mentioned Zubac, who I like, but Marcus Morris, Robert Covington. I do like Terrence Mann. I think he can be very, very serviceable. And look, I love Paul George as a player. But I think Kenyon Martin Jr. is going to low key be underrated for them. Um, I think he's
Yeah,
going to be
he is
really
there.
yeah. So it's funny. So as you were talking about the Clippers, I pulled them up here on Basketball Reference to kind of get an idea of their roster, and it pops up with that thing if you go on like to the regular site, not on your phone. The all-time top 12 players by win shares in Clippers history. Are you ready for this? This list is amazing.
Please go. Throw it at me, man.
Number 1, Chris Paul, 78.2 win shares. I think we all kind of expected that.
Sure.
Number 2, DeAndre Jordan, 76.3. Number 3, Elton Brand, 68.3. Number 4, Blake Griffin, 65.4. Number 5, Bob McAdoo, 50.9.
Wow.
Number 6, Randy Smith, 50 even. Here's where it gets fun. Number 7, Corey Maggette, 45.8.
Whoa.
Number 8, Loy Vaught, 34.1.
Loy Vaught. Yep.
Number 9, Danny Manning, 31.
Mhm.
Number 10, Ivica Zubac, 28.9. He's a top 10 Clipper of all time.
Whoa. Whoa.
Number
Yeah.
11,
Go
Sven
for it.
Nader, our good friend
Okay.
Sven.
We
And
gotta love Swin.
number 12 is amazing. It's fantastic. It's Eric Pletkowski.
I'm dead. I'm dead. That's a name I haven't heard in so long.
You see all these guys who have come and gone from that franchise. You know, the Kawhi
That's all
Leonard,
they
Paul
are.
Georges, the
That's all they
JJ,
are.
yeah, Ron Harper, JJ Redick, Corey, Darius Miles, Lamar Odom. I mean, Lamar Odom should have been mentioned far before Darius Miles, but
Sure.
we're just Q Rich, how good he was there, and that's your top 12 players by win shares in history. It's amazing.
I can't believe Zubox is there. That's unbelievable. Unbelievable.
One of the worst Lakers trades of all time, realistically. No, I don't know if he
Oh
necessarily would
yeah.
have been awesome with Anthony Davis per se, but trading him for
Oh
Mike Muscala,
yeah. I would love to have him on the bench for the Lakers right now,
for sure.
backing up the bigs there. That was dumb. I totally forgot that he got traded for that. That's crazy.
Yeah, I remember there was that report where Jerry West was at dinner when he got the call from Magic, and Magic
Yeah.
offered him the trade, and he put it on mute and laughed. He was like, "Did you believe this guy?"
Now, if we could only put the two actors from Winning Time in there to reenact that scene, that would be one of the greatest scenes of all time. They should make that like a web series, like just where they come on there and they're like older,
Yeah,
doing actual historical events through NBA history as those characters.
that's a great idea.
Of course it is.
Perlman, if you're listening, we just sent you your next TV show.
I just want a whole spinoff with just Jerry West.
I did
That's
too.
all I want. I just want a Jerry. I want the later years of Jerry West, you
Yeah.
know.
When
So,
apparently he said he calmed down, he's not as angry. I don't believe it, but
oh, no, absolutely not.
yeah. So I like that one. So I guess we'll end here before we get to our flashback segment. But we should go ahead and say who do we think wins the title this year because we won't be on before the season starts. Painfully, I think it's the Celtics. I just think their first 6 is too good.
So you're going with the Celtics. Okay. You
Wearing a
think that
Lakers
this is
shirt.
the year you're wearing a Lakers shirt and you think that the Boston Celtics are going to win the whole thing. Okay.
Yep.
All right. I want to say you're right. I do.
I wish you wouldn't.
But and I don't know what it is this year. I don't call me absolutely nuts for doing this, but I can't believe I say this. I really think the Lakers have a shot this year to win the whole freaking thing. I mean, they have more than a shot. I feel like this year is their year. I think this is going to be a legacy year for LeBron. And
Oh God, if LeBron won a Lakers Celtics NBA championship,
oh my god, they built the statue
tomorrow.
before the next day. It'd be
Yeah,
up. They'd
yeah,
build it out of solo cups if they have to, from the night before. But I don't know, man. This Lakers team is so deep.
they are good.
And I just think they're going to be really, really good this year.
I do too.
And I know it seems kind of cliche. You're picking the Celtics to win, and I'm picking the Lakers. but I don't know, man. I think Anthony Davis is going to bounce back again. I think he's going to have a great year. I think they learned a lot about this team, and they did not have enough time to cook with this team last
Yeah,
year. And they were very good in the playoffs. They were very, very good. Um, I think as long as they go through the season, the regular season, and LeBron doesn't use up all of his juice, I I think he's going to be out for something to prove this year. I
I
mean,
do
he
too.
came out last year. I mean, Windhorst said it last year. He was like the only reason. I mean, he was playing on a bum foot last year, and he was like, he smells blood.
And still
He
scoring
knows that the
30 a
West,
game. Yeah,
and he did smell blood, and he went out there and they made some noise. And I really like this team.
I do too.
Celtics obviously just as deep.
Yeah,
I mean, they're just as deep. Um, I don't think they're gonna get, are they gonna get more than 50 games out of Porzingis? Probably not. But if they do, is he going to be an amazing fit for this team? Yeah, I would say so. I mean, seen in the preseason what he can do, and he looks like a perfect fit with this team. And that Rue Holiday trade, it's, we're not talking enough about it.
yeah, I completely agree.
We are not, we are not talking enough about that. He's someone, he wins a championship, has what is probably the biggest play of that championship team to win that title, and they don't win last year. He gets traded. I mean, he's going to be out for something to prove.
Yeah,
So, but
for sure.
but I'm taking
Especially
Lakers.
especially the report that he was told like they were working on an extension 2 days before they traded for Dame. I'm sure he's
Yeah.
gonna, yeah, he's gonna have that. That's gonna be held personal. But yeah,
Oh yeah.
I'm all for a Lakers championship. Believe me, I'm all for it, as you know. So let's go ahead and do our flashback segment here real quick. We're running a little longer on time than anticipated, but had to make sure we got that over under conversation in. So this week's flashback, I know you and I talked about. We were pretty excited for underappreciated guards of the '90s because we loved 90s basketball teams. We really enjoyed them. It was part of as the major part of our childhood. Penny Hardaway, my favorite player of all time, as we know.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about some people from that era who don't get talked about enough in our opinions. And we didn't discuss our guys beforehand. So I'm really excited to see the names we come up with. But the first one I wanted to make sure I bring up, I'm not just bringing them for the fact that we are a Cincinnati-based station, but I really feel like if you put Nick Van Exel in his prime in 2024, he's incredible. I feel like in
Oh
2024,
yeah.
he's probably unbelievable and unstoppable.
Yeah. I think Nick Van Exel is one of those guys. A lot of those Lakers guys from the 90s, and
Eddie
him and Eddie
Jones?
Jones,
Oh my
another
God.
one that was just there were so many
Eddie Jones is the ultimate video game basketball player.
oh, absolutely. Yeah. He's a dunk show. He can shoot the three. He's great on defense. Yeah, I think both of those, but Nick Van Exel, man, I've always been a Nick Van Exel fan. I
Me too.
think he was such a dog for UC, and he had a chip on his shoulder, and what a weird era to be playing in
Yeah.
with that. So I think if things would have been a little bit different with those teams, I think he would have had just a bigger role, and you know the 90s ended up kind of drying up, and then the Shaq and Kobe era started, and Nick Van Exel's playing everywhere else. So
Yeah. Denver, Dallas, Golden State. Did he play for any Eastern Conference teams? Holy crap. I was like listening to these out loud. Let me pull
yeah,
up. Um, just one of my absolute favorite players. But you're right, because it's pretty well documented him and Del Harris did not really get along. Um, and that kind of really cost him a lot. And then now I guess they get along really well. So no, he did
yeah.
not play for any Eastern Conference teams. After he left Dallas, he had that year in Golden State. He had a year in Portland. I don't really remember that. And then
I remember him being in Portland.
he had a year with the Spurs.
Don't remember that.
Yeah, don't remember that at all.
There's
Yeah,
there's Lakers and Mavericks era. That's it.
yeah, exactly. So I thought Van X was a fun one to start. Who's the name you had in mind?
Well, if we're talking underrated guards from the 90s, I got to give you my favorite Cleveland Cavalier of all time, Mr. Mark Price.
Yeah, One of my favorite players ever.
Yeah, just you look at a player whose game would really, really be important now. I think he would be one of those guys if you put him right now in 2023, I think he would fit in on any team. Uh, good defender, one of the best three-point shooters of all time. I think the greatest free throw shooter of all time.
Mm-hmm. That's confirmed.
On there. He's been a shooting coach for a couple of teams over the years. You know, he had a brother who was also a sharpshooter, Brent Price.
He's a
If you might
coach now
remember
for
him, he's a coach.
it's Charlotte, University of Charlotte, I think.
Is that where he's at?
I
Okay. I
think
haven't
so.
been keeping up with old Brent back in the day. He was a great bullets shooter though. But I love the hell out of Mark Price, man. I think uh I think he was a second round pick
Mm-hmm.
back in '86, and that '86 draft is considered to be like one of the worst ones of all time. So he was, you know, he was one of those guys who ended up really transcending that draft and becoming just a great player. And they had so many battles in the East throughout those years. And, he had so many good years. I think he did. Let's see here. He was four-time All-Star. He was a All NBA player, first team, 92, 93. He was a third team uh, winner one year. And he was on Dream Team 2.
Mm-hmm.
So he's got a gold medal too. So I mean, hell of a career from that guy. Just didn't get the chip.
Yeah. A phenomenal player. Like I said, one of my favorites. When I was in Cleveland a couple weeks ago, and I went to the Cavs team shop. They had Mark Price throwback jerseys, and I was like, man, that would be a cool one to have. I think John Cena once in his like hip hop era gimmick
Wore a
wore
Price
'em.
jersey.
Yeah, I think he did.
Okay. Okay.
So
Yeah.
if he wore it, then it's definitely cool.
Yeah. I mean, Mark was great. I know in the late '90s, when I was really starting to get into, basketball and everything, you really get into NBA. He was hurt for quite a bit of the duration of the late '90s, and he ended up getting traded and he bounced around a couple places and then ended up retiring. But great player.
Yeah. This one's a little bit of a stretch, but I think I'm gonna acknowledge the fact that he was a point guard on a team that won. He was a starting point guard on a team that won 2 championships.
Okay.
He was a great 3-point shooter in an era that didn't have the volume it does today. So I'm only curious what his 3-point shooting would have been like if the game was played the way it is now. BJ Armstrong. I think when you talk about those
Oh,
Bulls teams,
oh,
obviously Michael, Scotty, Dennis, those guys will always be mentioned. Steve Kerr, rightfully so. John Paxson is the shot against Portland. BJ Armstrong is a career 43% 3-point shooter on 1.4 attempts a game. The most attempts he had per game was the 95-96 season. His first year was the 94-95 year. Obviously, the year Mike wasn't there. 3.1 was what he had that year. And also he also shot 43% that year. The next year with Golden State on 2.5 a game, he shot 47% from 3.
wow.
Former All-Star, obviously was part of the cool ass Hornets team at one point. Did have a year back with the Bulls that none of us want to remember, 99-2000. But
Yeah.
I think a guy that different era is probably a much bigger star than he is now.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Hell of a talent.
Good podcaster too.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't have much to say about him, but great player. That's a good one, man. That's a good one. I feel like on the first pick I went with somebody who was a little bit more known and a little bit I would still say that Mark Price is underrated or
Yeah, he definitely
underappreciated by
is.
a lot, even though he's got a big stat line over the years. If you go back and look at his achievements, but I like that one, man. That's you pull one out. You want to hear my next one?
I do.
Are you ready for it?
All right, so
You want me to get? We want to get
you
weird?
you get 2 more and I get 1 more. Just and then we'll go to the draft.
Okay. Okay. So, a guy that I was thinking about, and I haven't really thought about him in a while. And I'm going to throw a wrench in this one for
I'm
you.
excited. I'm excited.
Okay.
Bring me the
Are you
wrench,
ready for
John.
this?
Yep.
All right. We're talking about a underrated 90s guard. I'm going with Mookie Blaylock.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a really good one.
We never talk about Mookie that
We
much.
don't. It was almost the
So
name of Pearl Jam.
yes, yes. That's like one of the most if you're familiar with any sort of music, that's like one of the greatest fun facts of all time too. And it's like one of those ones I always forget about. So Mookie had one All-Star appearance. He was on two all defensive teams, 94 and 95. Can you believe that?
Yeah.
That's crazy to me. He was the steals leader in 97 and 98. Um, Played for three teams, which actually is not that many, but those years on the Hawks, man, he was something. He was one of those guys that I always liked when I played NBA Live when I was growing up. He was one of
Mhm.
those guys, you would always trade for to put on your bench, and or if you were playing against him, he'd just annihilate you. He was one of those low key guys. So that's my
I
low
love
key
it.
one.
All right. I also have a sort of kind of low key one to round out. I could have gone. I really wanted to talk about Kenny Anderson, but I held off because I I feel like the
Ooh.
world has forgotten about how good Damon Stoudemire was.
Oh my gosh. Please
Nin-
educate the world.
1996 Rookie of the Year.
Yes.
Multiple years of averaging 19 plus points per game. So obviously, kind of put the Toronto Raptors on the map right before the Vince Carter, Tracy McGrady run. Um, Gets traded to Portland as a part of that really good Jailblazers team that loses to the Lakers in the playoffs in 2000. Is the point guard on that team actually? I think he's the one guarding Kobe on the infamous alley oop. No, I'm sorry, that's Scotty. But Stoudemire is on the court somewhere in that play, and obviously had the Mighty Mouse nickname, which was super popular at that time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, Played with the infamous dinosaur Raptors jerseys, but really good passer, really fast up and down the court. Another guy who actually, 36% career 3-point shooter, 4 attempts a game, averaged 13.4 per game, but that's because once he went to Memphis, he started battling injury. He wasn't playing as much. Also had a random ass year with the Spurs.
Doesn't everybody?
I guess so.
Doesn't everybody? Yeah, Damon put the Raptors on the map in the 95-96 season. He averaged 19 points a game, came away with the Rookie of the Year, had a career best the following year. It was never better than his second season. In 96-97, he averaged 20 points a game, 8 assists, 1.5 steals, shot 401 from the field. I mean, he just a great player those first couple years. He ended up getting hurt, I believe, in 97, 98.
Yep.
He only played like half the games. He ended up getting traded to Portland um, midway through the season and just never really could. He was never that guy after he was in Toronto. He was the person who was scoring and had the ball in their hands the whole time, and never really happened again. But then late again in the 2000s, in 2004, 2005, he ended up averaging 15 and 5 for Portland. So it's he had kind of an up and down career, and like you said, he had a random ass final year with the San Antonio Spurs in 2007, 2008, but generously listed as 5'10", by the way.
Generously, yes. Yes.
Yeah,
Was he a
I'm
Converse guy? I think he was a Converse
uh
guy.
I believe he was.
Yeah.
Yeah, I might be taller than that cat. So, and
Yeah.
I am not tall.
All right. Here's your last underappreciated 90s guard.
Have you went? Okay. All right. Um, uh, if we're gonna go with my final underappreciated 90s guard, I'm gonna go with an easy one, but just because I think that he needs to have his jersey retired, and I think you know where I'm going with this. I'm going with Nick Anderson.
Love it.
I'm a huge Nick Anderson
Me
fan.
too.
I think he's one of the best. He was one of the best shooters of the '90s. He was the first draft pick for the Magic. The fact that they kept him through all those years too after Shaq, because most of the time when you draft a guy like that, and then a couple years later you draft a couple other good players, you don't keep that first good draft pick you had. I mean, you rarely ever see it, and they were able to keep all the draft picks, put together an actual winning team, and just I mean, he is Orlando basketball to me. He is the one who first put them on the
I
map.
agree.
I know he's in their Hall of Fame, and I think he's currently working for the team, and that's
Mhm.
probably why they can't retire his jersey at the moment. But I really, really do think that, you know, he played for them from 1989 to 2002. I
Yeah.
mean, that's unbelievable. Unbelievable. So, I don't know.
Yeah, he obviously has the cloud over him for the
Or
finals, but he was way better than that. And that's just, I hate that he can never escape that because he doesn't deserve that. That's going to be held against him forever. They got swept as a team. They didn't get swept because Nick Anderson missed 2 free throws.
yeah, and I mean, I look back at that, but it's like without Nick Anderson, they don't get there in the first place.
Nope.
He doesn't swipe the ball from Jordan and
Mhm.
create that great play. So um I think it's unfair the way that he's been judged. I'm hoping the actual I don't really know very many old school Orlando Magic fans besides you, Tim. But I like to think that they've probably forgiven him at this point
I
and
would think so.
realized his contribution to that team. Um, and how big he was there. I mean, looking back over the years, back in 91, 92, he was at 91, 92, and 92, 93. He averaged 19.9 points both years. Very incredible. Shaq comes along in 93, 94. He goes down to 15, but that's still, he plays
Yeah.
81 games that year too. So it's like just a steady dude, great 3-point shooter. And could usually get a steal or two every game too. Like just good defender. I love the way I loved his size. I loved his game. He's like one of my favorite players probably ever from the 90s. I
Yeah.
know it's an easy one for me. I felt like that was low hanging fruit for me, but I had to take it.
Yeah. There's plenty of names we could list here. Kevin Johnson's one I would love to have a conversation on. We just got to move on. Um,
Yes.
so, final segment, starting five.
Okay.
Starting five, number 2 now. Sean was in charge of the pool / the draft theme this week, and you went with all-time starting five of dunkers. But you said you have a caveat.
So with this when we do this draft tab, I don't want you to think who had the better career. I really
I
want you to
agree.
think who is going to throw down the most times in an in-game situation.
Mhm.
Okay. So that's what I want to do. Because otherwise, you and me are going to go Michael Jordan, and we're
LeBron,
going to go LeBron James,
Kobe.
and we're going to do that Kobe exactly. So I really want you to think hard about what I've given you here. And I want you to start this off. I want you to start this off. I want you to do the draft to draft your first person.
Okay. Well, it's pretty easy then. I'm going Vince Carter.
You're going Vince.
Best,
It's
maybe best dunker potentially of all time.
I disagree, but that's only because I am going to pick Dominique Wilkins.
It's a great one too. Can't go wrong.
I think honestly, I think those guys are the two best dunkers of all time.
Yeah.
And this is a guy who has, I've stand Michael Jordan for a number of years, but I think Vince Carter, man, I feel like we don't talk about him enough from a dunk perspective and what
Mhm.
he did for the game in such a weird time in the game's history.
Yeah.
So, but go ahead. Okay.
Dwight Howard.
Dwight Howard. Okay. Okay. All right.
Slam dunk what champion?
Um, um, oh yeah. Yeah. Part of two of the greatest dunk contests of all time.
Yeah.
And he's gonna throw down. If we're talking throw down in a game, I'm taking Shaq.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I'm
That's
taking Shaq. He's just gonna stand under the basket and just hop on there and maybe pull the basket
literally
down on
pull
you.
it. Yeah. Literally throw it
He's gonna
down.
he's gonna pull it down. Okay. So you've got Dwight and you have Vince. Okay.
I like
All
this. I
right.
like this. Point
Okay.
guard. So does it necessarily have to be people on the list?
It doesn't. If you can give me a good one that's gonna throw down, let's do it. But don't you dare pick Derrick Rose because it's a fault. It's not a good answer.
I mean, it is, but
It's not. The guy had like 3 dunks his whole NBA career.
yeah, but we see the Goran Dragic one every week.
That's it. That's the the only one, Tim. I'm saying there's two more just because I'm sure there is, but that's it. He did one good dunk,
That's
and
not
for
true.
some
That's
reason,
not true.
he's not a high flyer. He had one great career dunk. Like there are so many better point guards than him. Were you gonna pick him? Is that who you're gonna
No,
pick?
but
Okay, thank God.
now you
Okay.
now you made this point. Now I'm thinking about it. I'm gonna go with the person who was supposed to be in the dunk contest and was replaced by Kobe Bryant, Allen Iverson.
Okay. Okay.
People
Okay.
don't remember he could do it.
He could during and he's during those first couple of seasons, he could throw down a little bit. I would have loved to have seen him in that, but had we not seen that, we would have never known that Darvin Ham, really good dunker.
Yeah.
Really, really, really good dunker. Probably should have won that dunk contest, but we're not going to go there.
Oh God.
All right.
Don't slight Kobe.
Okay.
That never goes well.
Okay. Yeah, I know. I know. Wow. Okay. Allen Iverson. Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to go for a point guard too. And if I'm going to do, someone who's going to throw down and just jump over people and jump over your Dwight Howard specifically, I'm taking Nate Robinson.
Love it.
One of my favorite Bulls of all time, one of my favorite Knicks of all time, and the greatest slam dunk champion of all time. Three wins.
Mm-hmm.
Only one who ever won it 3 times. So 5'8", guys.
Yeah. So I've got Allen Iverson, I've got Vince, and I've got Dwight. I can't believe we're in the 4th round, and just now I'm taking Zach LaVine.
Oh man, what a guy! Probably should have lost one of those dunk contests.
But even now, after having these knee injuries, still throws it down.
He does. He does. He's a lot smoother than he used to be. He
Yes,
used to
he
be
is.
more about the nasty. He was kind of like a Sean Kemp kind of dunker in the beginning, and now he's definitely become kind of more of a but he's kind of like Michael Jordan, where he kind of calmed it down a little bit as he
Mhm.
got older. So okay, I like that. I like that. All right, so you're taking that. Okay, well, I can't believe I'm going to do this late in the game because this is one of my favorite players ever. But Tracy McGrady.
That's a good one.
I'm taking with that one, man, just so he can match up with his cousin on the other side of the court here.
Yeah, I like that. Ooh,
Okay.
we're down to our
Now
last round.
are you looking for a power forward?
I have to at this point, right?
Oh, I think you have to. I think you got to go with something.
My phone died, so I don't have the list in front of me.
Okay.
Give me Barkley.
Oh, that's a fantastic one. He wasn't even on my list. Okay. It's unfair.
I can't take Karl Malone for like personal reasons.
Oh no, he's not even on my list, man. Like he's not. I mean, he was a good in-game dunker, but he didn't grace me in the list. I already gave this one away earlier, but I'm going with Sean Kemp. I just
I didn't want to take it from you. I figured when you mentioned him, he was on the tip of your tongue. So
yeah, I'm gonna take him, and this is me taking him over Aaron Gordon and Blake. I just think that he was so nasty in the early '90s that I mean, in 1996, I know, we look back at that and we're like, oh, it was Gary Payton versus Michael Jordan. I would venture to say that Sean Kemp was the more popular player on that team at the time. I mean, just because he was so damn fun. So,
and they traded him right after the finals.
and that was the correct choice.
Yep, sure was.
They got rid of him. That trade and then Chris Webber getting traded to the Sixers are two of the greatest like right on time trades of all time. Like perfect. They were like, we're not going to get anything else out of you. It's never going to be better than it was last season. So
yeah, for sure. Well, that was a good one. We don't have Parker here this week to tell us what next week's going to be. So should we just make one?
go for it. You do it.
Okay. So like I said, I came up with a list that was like, I'm going to go through all these at some point. Let's go away from players for this one.
Okay.
The ultimate basketball video game draft. Everyone has to pick their top 5 basketball video games.
Oh, shit. Okay. That's going to be good.
That's
so top five NBA games. So we're probably going to have we'll probably have a few of the same franchises.
Yeah.
There. Okay.
Yeah, that's too hard to not use the franchises, right? Because they're yearly and like Bulls versus Blazers part of NBA Live, and it's just it's impossible.
Yeah, I probably got some deep picks on that.
I do too.
I think I probably owned just about every NBA game for the Super Nintendo at one point, and I think I still do.
All
So
right, real quick before we get out of here, do we count Chaos in the Windy City?
no.
Okay, good, because that game's terrible.
We can't count Shaq Fu or the Barkley Barkley Shut
Oh,
Up and Jam.
Shut Up and Jam was great. It was not
Yeah, we
great,
could,
but it was great.
it was not a good basketball game
No, it was not, but it was
at all.
fun.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, that's going to go and wrap up NBA Friday to get you guys ready for the weekend, the last weekend before the season starts. So we're thrilled. We cannot wait. Next week, I can't wait to talk about what happened on opening night and then some, and get you ready for the rest of the year and what we kind of think going forward. For behalf of Sean and Parker, I know Parker's not here this week. I want to say thanks again. Got a lot of great glowing reviews from last week's show. So we're really excited. Like we said, this is just something where we can just just talk talk to the league. And it's just something we really wanted to do. I know a lot of the guys within the Riverfront really want to hop on an episode here and there. So we're definitely excited. Once again, this is brought to you by SeatGeek. Use Riverfront, all one word, for $20 off your first order. And also, please, if you have a moment, come join us on the Patreon. Not going to break the bank, and you can come hang out with us in the Slack channel every day. And also, we are officially on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. So if you can please leave a nice solid review for Riverfront U, we would greatly appreciate it. So on behalf of Sean, this is Tim Daniel. Have a good night and see you all next week.